get to the new poll you were talking about, Joe. New Morning Consult poll out just now, showing the race between Joe Biden and President Trump largely unmoved by both party conventions. Nationally, Biden is up by 8 over President Trump, 51 to 43%.
But, you know, Mika, on the battleground state level, the numbers look unchanged in some areas, but there are exceptions.
Yeah, look at
and
this.
In Arizona, if you just look at these numbers, the RNC was disastrous for Donald Trump. Joe Biden jumping 7 points to reach 52%. He's now 10 points up in a must-win state for Donald Trump. In other key states, Biden holding a 10-point lead in Michigan, a state that the Trump campaign has been saying for about a month they may have to abandon, 52% to 42%. He's up big in Colorado by 9. He's up 7 in Wisconsin and in Minnesota and 4 in Pennsylvania. In Georgia, the former vice president is up by 3 points. North Carolina and Florida have tightened. Biden up by 2. In Texas, Trump is up by 1. And in Ohio, Donald Trump seems to be locking that down a bit. But you go back to the numbers. There are 2 numbers, Peter Baker, that are going to jump out, not just for the Trump campaign, for the Biden campaign. And I think also they should jump out for people in the media that keep talking about Kenosha. And here are the 2 numbers. Well, first of all, first number, Arizona, a huge jump in Arizona. We'll see if other polls follow along there. But then in Wisconsin, Morning Consult, when they released this poll, said most notably Joe Biden's support among white voters in Wisconsin is unchanged from before the conventions and even after the recent riots in Kenosha. A lot to digest in all those polls. What are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, I think that's right. Look, it's just one poll, and it's hard to get too worked up about any individual poll. Remember, we've got a lot of time to go, and this is only a few days since the conventions. But this should give some relief to Democrats who are worried that President Trump has gained some traction with the law and order issue in recent days. If Wisconsin at this point is still strongly behind Biden, if the numbers there are as they are in that Morning Consult poll, that may tell them that they are less vulnerable than they had thought. But there's no question in the few days that the Trump campaign has felt some sense of momentum, some sense of actually having a more sustained message that they could rely on, talk about something other than the coronavirus and the economy, and that will rile their voters and get their own base going. If it's not working for them, then we'll see whether that continues after Labor Day. But I think you'll see a lot more of it today when the president arrives in Kenosha. He's planning to be there to visit with law enforcement, to tour some damaged areas and highlight what he points to as the marauding, mobs in the streets. He's not planning, or at least not scheduled anyway at this point, to meet with the family of Jacob Blake, the black man who was shot 7 times in the back and whose incident actually sparked some of the most recent protests and violence in the streets. So he's taking one side. He's not trying to calm people. And he does see this as a political issue. He's made very clear he sees this in partisan terms. These are Democrat-led cities, he says. And in fact, he lays it at the feet of Joe Biden as if Biden was responsible for the violence in the streets.
Yeah. So, Gene Robinson, this is actually, if you step back, and you even listen to what the White House, people close to Donald Trump are saying in the White House, this is really the equivalent of a political smoke bomb. They are doing everything possible to stop the media and stop the Democrats and stop Americans from looking at those numbers in the coronavirus. Over 180,000 people dead, over 6 million people in America infected by it, the United States doing more poorly than everybody else. And Donald Trump has made the calculation. I am going to tweet 90 times on Sunday morning. Maybe, just maybe, people won't be talking about the coronavirus, because when they talk about the coronavirus, I'm losing. So a 17-year-old kid going around shooting people, okay, Donald Trump's thinking that will distract. People will talk about that. Chaos in Portland. Okay, let's talk about that. That stops Americans from looking at the coronavirus and the 6 million Americans who have had the coronavirus. But Gene, while we do that, let's just jump back to these polls for 1 second, because I think it's fascinating. One of the funniest things I heard was the White House staff high-fiving each other after June the 1st. Funny because it shows how bad their political instincts are, because the second, again, we saw it, we knew it was going to be a disaster. They thought that was success. And they're going around telling anybody who will listen that the president's new law and order pitch is going to be great for him politically as well. These polls show it's not. In fact, it's going to blow up in his face politically.
Yeah, and this trip to Kenosha that he's taking today could be just like the June 1st debacle. It could end up driving voters away rather than bringing them to his side. Look, you're absolutely right that the White House is trying to use Kenosha and Portland as a smokescreen, as a diversion. Because for the obvious reasons that you just stated, they don't want to talk about the coronavirus. It's kind of a weird thing to try, because we all live with the coronavirus every day. This defines our lives in a way that few external factors can define the lives of every American. So it's a dubious strategy, I think, to avoid it. But he's trying to avoid it because he has nothing good to say about it, so he's trying to use this the issue of protest and the violence, the chaos, which he loves, as a way of creating some sort of illusion of momentum for the Trump campaign. Before we saw this polling, I think I wrote in my column this morning that it was an illusion of momentum. I think if the polling is right, it is clearly an illusion. And in fact, if there's momentum in the swing states, it looks like it's in the opposite direction. But we'll see. It's just one poll, so we'll see.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.